If there was a school for video games, what's the required reading? Is a question I had today while doing cardio because I needed something to take my mind off the pain. I don't consider the treadmill to be an esteemed place for revolutionary thought like I do the shower or the porcelain throne, but darn it, this is a question that needs to be answered. So here's my list of games I consider essential to play before you complete the game of life. Now I've tried, and failed, to make this a balanced list by including one game from every genre I play. The first, platformers. These aren't my go-to games, but in 2021, I found myself jumping for joy while playing the first game on this list, It Takes Two. This is one of the best indie games of the last few years, and it actually won the overall Game of the Year award for 2021. It's a split-screen co-op game where you and a friend get to use a bucket full of different abilities to solve puzzles and sabotage each other as you watch the other person meet a demise that you totally could have prevented. But you didn't. The most impressive thing about this game is the sheer variety of gameplay mechanics. It's like a love letter to the history of gaming, with many major genres and franchises represented. You'll find sections that call back to games like Street Fighter, Diablo, and a bunch of others that I don't want to spoil because it's better for you to experience It Takes Two firsthand. And only one person needs to buy the game for $40. The second person just needs to download the free friend pass to play along with you. Imagine that. Shooters. The good old pew-pew games. Call of Duty, Half-Life, Borderlands, these are shooter icons. But my pick today isn't any of those. I almost chose Doom Eternal because it's the best FPS released in recent memory, but nostalgia came in and punched me in the gut like an angry elite. I'm talking about Halo Reach. Reach is the final Halo game Bungie made before they left to start their Destiny cult. And they set the series off with a big bang, cause it's in space, get it? The campaign here had 4-player online co-op like other entries in the series, and it was just finger-licking good. I couldn't even tell you how many times my friends and I replayed it all the way through on legendary difficulty with different skulls turned on for extra challenge. The multiplayer experience was phenomenal. Team SWAT, Big Team Battle, and Griffball were the staples of my adolescence, along with custom forged game modes that we spent way too much time playing. Halo Reach was largely responsible for me missing a ton of great games that came out in the 2010s, but it's so good that I regret nothing. RPGs are my favorite genre, but the definition is such a mess because of all the different subgenres that I'm gonna break my own rules and recommend several of them. If you want a traditional D&D style game, the definitive answer is Divinity Original Sin 2. It has the deepest game design of anything I can think of, which might not be saying a lot. The lore, quests, NPCs, voice acting, and level design are all of such high quality that I'm surprised it hasn't been copied by a plethora of other studios. Actually, that's probably because nobody else has the same talent that Larian Studios has. Don't like turn-based combat? You will after you experience Divinity. The amount of choice you're given in your character's builds here is endless. You can wield any number of weapons from giant two-handed greatswords to dual wands where you alternate between fire attacks and necromancy. Don't want to be near the fight? Play a summoner and bonk people on the head with an angry troll. Tired of healing yourself? Play an undead who, ironically, dies if you use a healing spell on them. And the best thing about this game? You can turn people into chickens. I really struggled to pick a JRPG because frankly they're my favorite games and I want to put all of them in here. But I settled on a representative. Xenoblade Chronicles 1. This game is probably unlike anything you've ever played. I would call it open world, but its level design is so lovingly crafted with incredible detail that feels like an insult. The story here takes place on top of two gargantuan mech-like creatures who killed each other in combat long ago. Life formed on top of their bodies, and now there are whole civilizations living on their scapulas. To describe the gameplay, I'd say just think about it as an offline MMO. There's real-time combat based on cooldown timers and positioning, a multitude of characters to meet, quests to complete, and new locations to visit on your feet. I had to make it rhyme, I'm sorry. The music here is nothing short of godlike. Some of these songs are at that tier of, if this isn't playing at my funeral, I'm not dying. Even with all those positives, the highlight here really is the story. I'll spoil nothing, but suffice to say that Xenoblade Chronicles will take you on a massive journey that you'll remember for the rest of your days. And come on bro, it has Melia! I only really have one thing to say about my MMO recommendation. Have you heard of the critically acclaimed MMORPG Final Fantasy XIV? It has an expanded free trial which you can play through the entirety of the base game, A Realm Reborn, and the award-winning Heavensward and Stormblood expansions up to level 70 with no restrictions on playtime. This game is one of the reasons why I know we are all in the right timeline. And it's not just good for MMOs, it is an overall fantastic video game. You like speed? Would you say you have a need for it? Yes, I am talking about Test Drive Unlimited 2. This is basically what Forza Horizon wants to be. TDU 2 is a big, open-world racing game where you actually have to earn everything you use, instead of just being given free stuff all the time. You start with an empty wallet and a beater car and work your way through different racing circuits, slowly earning money and buying better cars and more houses to store them at. Get this, you can actually get out of your car and walk around places like car dealerships and the houses you own to appreciate your cars in person instead of just selecting them in some menu. It's a car lover's dream, and it doesn't hurt that Test Drive has great driving and pretty well balanced races in my experience. For whatever reason, they haven't made anything like it since it came out. The closest thing we have right now is GTA Online, but I actually respect myself, so. Sometimes it feels good to stretch out the old brain, and strategy games are the most fun way to do that. Medieval 2 Total War is a game where you control thousands of soldiers in massive medieval battles that span the whole of Europe, the Middle East, parts of Africa, and even the Americas. You start the campaign as the ruler of whatever faction you choose, such as the Holy Roman Empire, Egypt, etc. Your goal can be whatever you make it. Grow your empire and take over the whole world, form alliances and protect your territory, or if you're like me, send agents all over the world and assassinate every single important character you can find, including the Pope. While I do love playing politics and weaving my way through the complicated international relations of the era, the battles are absolutely my favorite thing to do. You can use siege engines to blow apart the enemy's castle walls, deploy war elephants loaded with rockets to shred through units, or form huge cavalry charges and obliterate the enemy lines a la the Ride of the Rohirrim in Return of the King. Speaking of Lord of the Rings, there's a mod available for this game called Third Age that converts the entire game from medieval to a Lord of the Rings setting. That's probably all I need to say. You ever just want to punch someone? I don't recommend doing it in real life, but you can get in as many fights as you want in fighting games. Though it isn't my favorite game, I think Super Smash Bros. Ultimate is the quintessential fighting game. As they say themselves, everyone is here. Smash Ultimate has so many gosh dang characters from an incredible array of different games that it's honestly hard to believe it exists. It's the ultimate, party game when a bunch of friends come over. Just throw it on the TV, give everyone a controller, and have a great time unless your Joy-Cons start drifting. It's a very approachable fighting game, but still has deep mechanics for people interested in really diving into it. There's a substantial single-player mode where you go to unlock all the characters you'll use in multiplayer. If you know anything about fighting games, you'll know that this is a big deal because a lot of these games have terribly little in the way of single-player content. Overall, Smash Ultimate is a really well-rounded fighting game that'll keep you and your friends busy for dozens if not hundreds of hours. Just, well, don't try to play on Wi-Fi. Though I often criticize open-world games, when done correctly, I think they can be peak gaming. There are a lot of games I could recommend here. Skyrim, Red Dead Redemption 2, the Zelda duo, Elden Ring, which yes, I do wholeheartedly recommend with every fiber of my being. But in the end, I couldn't put anything other than The Witcher 3 in this list. I wouldn't say it has the best open world of any game, but I would say The Witcher 3 is one of the greatest video games of all time, and it does in fact have an open world. The most important thing to understand here is that while The Witcher 3 doesn't have the biggest map, what it does have is extremely high quality, meaningful content that is head and shoulders above any of its peers. The side quests here are better written and better acted than some games' main stories. Geralt is a fascinating protagonist with a lot of personality. He's a believable character who isn't perfect by any means, and lives his life by his values. I'm tired of poorly written characters whose only personality is reflecting the message their author wants to shove onto me, so Geralt is a refreshing lead. To top it all off, the Blood and Wine expansion to Witcher 3 is by far the best DLC ever created for a video game, and I am not taking any other answers. This final spot goes to a game whose story I think every single gamer needs to experience for themselves. This is a title that completely shifted the way I look at gaming. Yakuza 0 is a game that will make you laugh, cry, and quite possibly get a large tattoo of a mystical creature on your back. It has a serious crime drama story set in a 1980s Japan, where you follow two characters embroiled in the world of organized crime, aka the Yakuza. Think of this as the Godfather of video games, but with more fists, swords, and sake. It's very cutscene heavy, with lots of intense dialogue, crazy action sequences, and big payoffs. I would be a fool not to mention the side content in Yakuza 0. Throughout the accurately represented sections of Tokyo and Osaka you explore in-game, you'll find completely wacky side quests, suggestive telephone booths, arcades with classic Sega games, hostess clubs to manage, and dozens more interesting things to do when you want a break from the story. This is the first game that made me cry, and I'm not talking about the little tear falling from the corner of my eye kind of crying. I'm talking about falling to your knees outside looking up at the sky while it's raining kind of existential sobbing. What a game. Thanks for making it this far. I hope you enjoyed the list. Please feel free to share your list of the top 10 games you think everyone needs to play before they exit their mortal shells in the comments. Also, I really want to thank you all for helping me reach 2,000 subscribers recently. I hope I've been able to help you smile, and if not, then I'll keep working hard to make better videos. Love you all, and I hope to see you again in the next one.